Hey, hello, everybody. Welcome to week 2 of Fundamentals of Design Thinking. So hopefully everybody was off to a good start with week 1. I'm still looking through your videos, enjoying those, and I'll also get through the week 1 discussions as well and get those back to you by the end of this week. All right, so this week we're on to kind of the first stage of design thinking. So we're going to be covering what we call kind of the empathy stage of design thinking. And so one thing that you probably came across in your first week's readings is that design thinking is really, it's about human-centered thinking and kind of a human-centered design approach, okay? So the problems that you're going to be solving out there in industry, when you're out on a job, or even problems that you might be working on here while you're taking classes, are usually not your own. They're problems that are encountered by particular users or particular audience. And so kind of the first part of this whole process of design thinking is to really get engaged with those users and those that are kind of in your target audience for the problem that you're trying to solve, okay? So there's a few things that you're going to want to do in this phase. The first is to observe. Okay, you want to view the users and their behaviors in the context of what's going on. And you also want to engage with those users. You want to interact with them. You'll probably want to maybe do some interviews. Okay. And kind of the last part that you want to really think about is immersing yourself in that environment, putting yourself in those user shoes. So, one thing that we try to do as far as the design thinking process is to really approach it from the human side of things and not necessarily trying to look at the technical part of things. So if we look at that second part where you're going to be engaging with users, the interview process is pretty important for that. So you want to, really plan that out. And there's some ways to do that, to kind of prepare for that. So some of the things you might want to think about are brainstorming questions, okay? So write down as many potential questions that you can, whether it's yourself or you're on a team. If you're on a team, kind of build out each other's ideas and kind of maybe organize those into subject areas, okay? You'll also want to, when you're thinking about interviewing ahead of time, you want to identify an order and kind of put in order themes, okay? So identifying themes or subject areas into which most of those questions that you come up will fall into. And then from there, you want to kind of determine the order of those questions. That way the whole process kind of goes smoothly. It'll kind of decrease the potential for, going off in, different tangents. And so you want to keep the focus. You'll also, before you go into the process of interviewing, you'll want to maybe refine your questions. So take a look at them all. Maybe practice those with others in your group or other people on your team, and kind of see if they seem to work well, or if you need to refine those, okay? And the reason that we do all this as far as like the interview process, we want to gain empathy, all right? We really want to understand the people that are in the situation, that are surrounded by the problem that we're trying to solve, okay? So by interviewing, that kind of puts us in that state of mind, that kind of human-centered aspect of it, all right? So you want to ask why, okay? Even when you think you might know the answer to some of the problems, ask the users why something's happening or why they feel the certain way they do. Never ask usually when asking a question. Ask about a specific occurrence. For example, you could say, tell me about the last time you blank. Tell me about the last time you used this product and it didn't work for you, okay? So something like that. Encourage stories. So stories from the users really help kind of open up the whole situation a little bit better. So always encourage stories and kind of approaching that storytelling aspect of things. Look for inconsistencies. What users say and do can be different. And a lot of these inconsistencies often kind of hide they often hide interesting insights that you might gain. Okay, so look for those inconsistencies. Also pay attention to nonverbal cues. All right, so be aware of like body language and emotion. And don't be afraid of silence. If the user that you're interviewing is thinking on something, it's okay to let them kind of reflect on that. So allow time for them to kind of put together their answers. Ask questions neutrally and try not to suggest answers. So our example would be, what do you think about buying gifts for your spouse? That's better than, don't you think shopping is great? Okay, so when you say, don't you think shopping is great, you're already kind of putting into their mind that it's good. So we kind of want to leave those type of words and those phrases out. Okay. All right. So I'm going to switch over to my screen now, and we're going to take a look at the assignment that you're going to be working on this week. So give me a second. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay. All right. Okay. So you have two assignments this week that kind of surround empathy. The first one is the reading discussion post that you'll do, same as last week. You'll read through the reading assignment, and then using the prompt in the discussion post, write your response, and then also respond to another classmate's post. Okay, so same format as last week. The other thing that you'll be working on this week is this week one worksheet. All right, and so this worksheet is kind of geared towards the empathy stage of design thinking. All right, so the first thing you're going to do is figure out a challenge. So that's kind of the first section of the sheet here. They give you some that you can take a look at. So with this, you're kind of putting yourself in the situation of you're working in an office, you're working at a company, and you can choose one of these challenges that they give you, or at the bottom there in that first section, you can write your own challenge. So if there's something that maybe you find interesting, a problem that you want to explore, you can do your own challenge, right? So any of those is okay, as well as your own challenge. All right. The next section there, what will you hear? So you have to put yourself in like the situation of you're going to interview the users. What do you think? What do you think they will think needs changed? All right, within your chosen challenge space. Okay, so for example, the first one, let's take a look here. How might we better evaluate and measure the output of employees moving away from simply hours spent sitting at the office? All right. So you're going to look at, maybe folks are working outside the office, they're working from home. What are some assumptions? So really this is all about kind of coming up with some assumptions within this space. And so you're going to think, what if I was asking those questions to people in my office, what do you think that they find, what areas do you think that they need to work on as far as change within that challenge, within that problem? Okay, so you're kind of putting yourself, this is the whole idea, you're putting yourself in the user's shoes. So that's the next part there. So what will you hear? The next one, what will you see? All right, so when you observe people and things interacting within your challenge area there, what do you expect to see? Right. So again, you're trying to put yourself in their shoes. What do you feel like are some things that they see in their kind of everyday work environment that you need to observe and write down there? All right. The next one, possible solutions. So you've already thought probably of some solutions for these problems. And so this is your chance to go ahead and write them down. Right. So you're looking at those problems, and you probably, once you read through the problem that you are tackling here, you probably already had some basic ideas of how you could address that and fix some of those issues. So go ahead and write those down in that area. And then the last section here is the interview prep guide. So what you want to do here is develop some sample questions to guide your interview. You're going to have some questions that you can ask different people. Some might be specific for different audiences. All right. So you can address that there. And this is really just kind of a guide. Okay. And this is going to be leading into next week, where you're actually going to practice doing some interviewing. All right. So the first one here, introduction and icebreaker. How are you going to establish rapport? Right? How are you going to get those people that you're going to be interviewing comfortable with you? Right? Maybe an idea for an icebreaker. So this would be a good chance to go out on the web and research ideas for icebreakers for interviews. And then the second part there, name the routine you'd like your user to walk through. Okay. So if we're talking about the one of those problems, have them explain how you'd want them to walk through kind of that routine of their daily interactions and daily life there. All right. The third part there is called dig deeper. Here you're going to think about what are some follow-up questions that we might ask that could encourage some of that storytelling aspect of the interview process. All right. So really think on this and think about some questions that could open up that door for more storytelling. And then the fourth one there is called Magic Wand. Be clear, it says, so be clear on the experience you're hoping to fix with the magic wand, right? So again, kind of narrowing down that problem that we're focusing on here, or that challenge that you first picked out. Okay, so just writing that down, make sure that that's clear, and that people that you're interviewing will know that that's the area that you're focusing on. Okay. All right. So that is the worksheet that you're going to work on this week. It's a fillable PDF, so you should be able to open this in like Adobe Acrobat, fill it out on the computer. Also, or if you wanted to, you could print it off and then fill it out by hand with pencil or pen, and then just scan a copy of it and upload that as well and back into Canvas. So either way is okay. All right. So also in this week's modules, there are some other resources. Okay. Make sure you check those out. There's a video, there's some other documents and links that I put in there that are really good, providing some information and more guidance on the empathy stage and kind of this whole human-centered approach to design thinking. All right. Okay. All right. That's all I got for this week. Again, if you have questions, feel free to email me. Let me know. I'd be happy to work through any questions that you have on the assignment, or issues that you have regarding the content. I'd be happy to go in more detail with that. But anyway, excited to see what you guys come up with for this week on that worksheet. And we will talk to you all later. Bye.